Oh, shout out to you guys because you got me laughing at 6:30 this morning. The entire tone of the conversation with Eddie Johnson.
Oh, I thought it was when we sent you to go be the recruiter for Aaron Judge.
Oh, no, I didn't. I missed that. Did I get hired? Oh, yeah. I started that. I started that a month ago.
We need to send you.
We're going to need somebody who can hit. So, the Eddie Johnson thing. And this is where, and I already sort of felt this because my good buddy, like we went to San Mateo High School together. He's literally like one of my best friends in life. Is one of the voices of the Suns, and his name is John Bloom. He's going to join us at 11. Whatever, yeah, close enough.
Barry Bloom.
No, but he was. I talked to him on the phone yesterday.
A lot of Sundays with Barry.
He was talking about getting ribbed by Eddie J. Like that's just who Eddie J is, right?
He's good.
I don't know if you know this. Dibs had a beer with him one time.
More than one, yeah. Whoop. NBA Finals back at Oracle. Where
I actually did know this story.
I'm sitting up in the media seats, and I get in there, and I'm sitting next to Eddie Johnson, and we go to halftime. He comes back with a beer, and I'm like, "Look at Eddie Johnson. That's the flex moment of the finals right there." I did not follow suit. I didn't hit as many threes as he did. So
Coach Jaski helped punk him on the golf course. Yeah. He was like, "I'll punk you."
Yeah.
Eddie's great. I bet Eddie's been great.
He's going to take you out of game. Well, here was my sort of bigger takeaway about it because you could hear it. And I know Eddie's a trash talker, but I already know this because John's no different, even though he's a close friend. Man, the Suns are up in their feelings about the Golden State Warriors. And so I'm just going to pull the curtain back because for some reason everybody in the Suns organization thinks this is like taboo and we can't say it out loud. Game 7 against the Dallas Mavericks last year, that team got hit by COVID. Okay? They got hit, and for whatever reason, they're like, it's just a big secret.
Well, they came out with it 2 weeks later. They're trying to not, it's not an excuse, but we all told
It's not an excuse, but we're going to use it as an excuse with neon lettering. They say it all the time, essentially, and you'll hear it again. If you listen to it at 11 today with John, you'll hear it. They think they only lost in Game 7 because of COVID. Now, we know there's 100 different versions of COVID, and for some of us, it was the sniffles, and for other people, it knocked you on your rear, and obviously it was much more serious than that through the years for many others. But it's interesting because a group of professional athletes, I mean, I don't know. Like Michael Jordan's got the flu game. And
in this day and age, that would never happen.
I mean, well, sure.
Unless you're Justin Turner winning a World Series during the height of the pandemic.
Right.
It feels like Chris Paul's career is dotted with a but at the end of every playoff.
I would love to hear Steph Curry use that as an excuse for why they lost to the Lakers in the playing game. Damian Lee missed the last month of the season with COVID. Remember that? Yep. When he had the COVID. And by the way, that's how bad that team was that year. Damian Lee was a very important part of that team. Am I wrong?
He's a very important part of
they needed him.
He's a very important part of this team.
Exactly.
Like, how many of you noticed, like, Damian Lee and JTA left and went and got, like, sixth man roles?
I know.
And everyone's like, oh, my gosh, what are you all doing out there? So, anyway.
Suns make all kind of excuses, man.
It's crazy.
They got blown out, and they were talking. Like, after Game 5, when Luka walked off the court, no, they talk when they up. They talk when they win. Okay,
you win 64 games. Has anybody asked that organization, okay, y'all got COVID in Game 7. The hell are you doing in a Game 7?
Exactly.
Against a team that's inferior.
The Dallas, what are you doing in a Game 7 over here?
And they were chirping.
Come on.
They were chirping.
You got no excuse. None.
No, they're hurt. And he knows. He knows. He was talking to Eddie Johnson, that is, who calls Suns games. It's like, your window's closing up there at Golden State. It's like, well, the window's wide open. Right? It's slowly getting closed. But the Suns, it's cracked. You can't get any air. You can't get any fresh air with that window down there.
Well, the Suns windows, like those old windows in your house where you got to put the stick in it, otherwise the window will slam shut. You know, the old window where you hold it up back in the day.
There's weight. So I used to have these. There's weighted too.
Same here.
In the wood.
Yeah.
I call that the guillotine window.
Right.
Because that could literally take a head off.
And that's what Phoenix's window is. It's open, 64 and 18, and then wham!
Hey,
it's like,
this
good
is
Lord.
Bringing me back to my childhood.
This is a little triggering suffering.
All of our childhood.
Some of us are renters and still dealing with it. So just everybody step off, okay?
Well, you put the highlighter in there if you want it open just to crack, or you put the yardstick if you possibly can. You go with an angle. You go straight up and down. When I lived in the city, shout out Anza Vista, right there, Masonic and Geary.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
We're across the street from Wallenberg.
Yeah, Wallenberg High School.
Yeah, exactly, right there. There used to be a Mervin's there as well.
I used to be a Mervin's. Stanford shorts there.
No doubt.
You had to go shop.
No doubt. But we had those windows there where you had to prop it up with the stick. Hey, honey, where's the stick for the window?
Oh, man.
Anyway, that's the Phoenix window.
Okay. Am I sick? Am I sick?
Yeah,
yes, you are.
That's an open-ended yes.
Yeah,
I'm getting sick with this air conditioner, by the way. I'm freezing over
dude,
here.
this whole place is falling apart.
Bring it over here.
I don't even know. You don't even know. I'm watching that game last night. And I'm so down and out. Mm-hmm. I was getting moral victories from Mac Jones getting replaced in that game. Not that I'm rooting against Mac Jones. It's that I'm just glad we didn't pick him. I didn't want to pick him in the first place.
But then the other guy that you could have picked I thought, his best game as a professional.
I like Justin Fields.
I mean, he moves really well.
Yes,
I've always thought it looked like thank you. The Bears are not using him right.
Phenomenal outcome.
That's a Mark and Tony Bruno classic. When I move, you move.
Just like that, right? Exactly. Absolutely. But anyway, he looked really good, and last night was example number 80 of you don't see that coming in the NFL. Like the Bears have not looked like that all year.
No,
the Patriots have not looked like that all year. Like on my tote board, the Bears busting 30 and blowing the Patriots out was way down the list. Holy smokes.
I felt for you because we talked off the air yesterday. It's like, Dibs, I think I'm liking this Bears team total under 14 and a hook.
I bet the under. Just for the Bears.
14 and a hook?
The Bears.
14 and a hook. It was cooked by the second quarter. I'm like, well, at least they didn't take me on a ride. I can go do something else now.
Before the second diaper change, that thing was already, I was going to text you because we're usually 4 or 5 diapers per Monday night game, you know.
Nice. But she's eating well.
Yeah, eating in.
Eating good in the neighborhood.
Eating in, eating out. I was enjoying the Manning cast.
Me too.
I usually don't watch the Manning cast, but I had to catch a little Obama.
Yeah, how was Obama? Because I missed it.
It's Lo Neal does a great. Lo Neal does a very good but terrible Obama.
Malia?
It's all about 5-word increments and dramatic pauses for his Obama. He was great.
He was really good.
He's on for 3 segments, right?
And then Bill Burr, and then they had Vince Vaughn, I believe.
Yeah, I didn't catch it. I didn't stick around for Vince Vaughn.
Bill Burr's a little bit.
Because he's a Patriot fan.
Yeah, I know,
he's a
but
Patriot
he's all
fan.
over his Philadelphia rant was great. Bill Burr's cool. I like Bill Burr.
Burr.
But I enjoyed the Manning cast. Yeah. I don't normally go Manning cast, but I was.
You didn't want to do no Buck and Aikman?
Depends. I normally go Buck and Aikman, but I was kind of picking and popping. I was, jiggling and shushing and changing and feeding, and we were doing the whole thing. So I had the fellas on.
Flip over to the Zozo challenge on PGA.
Didn't get
on the Golf
Zozo,
Channel just to see the replay. I'm just teasing.
No, normally I would.
Anybody want Mac Jones as Trey Lance's backup next year, or how do you guys want this to play out now?
No thanks. I mean, is Mac on the
Trey and Mac? Well, what do you do now? Not that Zappy came in and was phenomenal or anything like that.
Immediately was phenomenal.
And
his
immediately
first 2
was
throws, bang, bang.
And then he wasn't.
Yes.
And then he wasn't again in the second round. But
those guys were wide open, and Jacoby Myers had to make a great adjustment on that football from Zappy. Like Zappy threw a bad ball.
But 300 the week before,
but
2 touchdowns. He's okay.
When he came in, the presence of the entire game changed.
It did.
It absolutely did. And in that moment, I'm like, okay, the ship is righted. The Patriots are going to go win this game. And then it fell again in the second half, which is why I give the Bears credit. Like, they played a really, really good game.
Justin Fields is tough, man.
Justin
He's
Fields.
A tough kid.
And Eberflus, as I like to say, the Flus.
They look good.
He finally realized, I got a quarterback who is electric with the ball, but he can't throw. Here's an idea. Design runs.
Yes.
You guys know how many teams in the NFC don't look? And maybe you already have. Yeah. How many teams in the NFC
over 500
other way, are worse than 3 and 4? How many teams?
Washington Commanders.
Okay.
Carolina's 3 or 4 down. Right?
There's a couple 2 and 5s over there. I think the answer is 3.
The Washington Commanders, by the way, are 3 and 4.
I thought they were 2 and 5.
Detroit Lions, they're 1 and 5, right?
So how many?
It's 3.
2
is the answer.
I'm going to say 2.
Yeah, the answer is 3. The Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints are both 2 and 5.
I wouldn't have gotten New Orleans.
And the Detroit Lions are 1 and 5. So the 49ers sit
by
with
Dan Campbell.
Everybody else in the entire NFC. We know who the 4 teams are with the winning records. Or the 5 teams, I should say.
3 in the
Seattle,
East.
Yep, 3, and then Minnesota and Seattle. Right, but everybody else is basically 3 and 4.
And the Niners lose tiebreakers to Atlanta.
Yep. And Chicago.
The weak-ass Bears.
But they got Carolina. They got the tiebreaker against Carolina.
Can we call them the weak-ass Bears when they beat you?
I can't. I can't now.
No, that's kind of Mark's point about the whole NFC, though, is there's a couple really good teams. Man, I mean, really good for now. There's a couple teams that aren't great, and then teams 3 through 13. It's going to be fun playing the tiebreaker game when everyone is 7-8 with 2 games to go.
I don't want to put this out there, but because
Seattle
I think
on line 1.
in our minds, and Bonte, you've been on this a lot. In our minds, get to the bye 4-4. Right. And I think that's absolutely still true.
3-5, they're still alive.
It's not as dead as it actually was last year, and that's a fact. Like, again, it's not. Look, if they're 3-5, and we know there's massive problems with the team.
An egg on your face after your big guarantee.
Damn right, boy.
Steiny right now is licking his chops.
You know how much I love eggs, though, so it's okay. I'll just eat them. Oh. But anyway, point being is, this is not the must-win 3-5 thing that it was last year when they played the Rams.
Yeah.
The whole season was going to go a different direction. Jimmy was going to get benched. All that stuff was going to happen if they had lost to the Rams mid-year last year. This is not that. It's a want to have it. You might want to call it a got to have it. But this conference is not going anywhere. They're not going and they're not running away.
Which is why, real quick, Shanahan and the Niners don't get to the playoffs. That's a problem. You better get to the playoffs.
It's kind of a joke. I agree with you.
I don't know. But they're so hurt. Like, that's my old. Like, forget the records. Joe, I'm stopping. Everyone's hurt. Like, who's getting healthier?
But I want you to look at it from the bottom up. Like, okay, fine. Everybody's hurt, and so therefore you're struggling. We're going to give the Eagles a playoff spot.
Yes.
I think by now you probably have to just let's believe in the Giants.
I mean, just last week we're talking about
give them a get to the Eagles. Right, we'll give them a playoff spot. And even if we give the Dallas Cowboys a playoff spot. Now the North and South, those right, you're going to get division winners out of that, right?
You figure Minnesota or Green Bay, one of those 2 teams.
Well, okay, so let's say Minnesota, who is up right now. Let's let them have it.
That leaves one wild card.
It leaves one wild card and your division, which you're only a game behind.
Yes. Yeah.
So that means you would need to be beat by one of the 3 teams in your division, and either an Atlanta. Does Green Bay get their act together? Like, from the bottom up.
Not this week. They play Buffalo.
Even if you're injured, you have plenty to beat those teams.
Do you?
Plenty. Yes.
If you can't, you have Arizona twice, and you've got Seattle still. So if you can't sweep Arizona, so if you lose to the Rams, you're 2-1 in the division. At that point, you'll need to be 4-2 in the division. 9-8 overall. That'll be enough to get you in there.
I don't think the Niners are sweeping Arizona.
Yeah.
Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if they got swept by Arizona.
I mean, who knows?
Let's say you lose to the Rams and you're 3-5 and you split with Arizona, that gets you to 4-6. If you fall to Seattle, it's over. If you beat Seattle, you're 5-6. So can you, in the remaining 6 games, go 4-2, and they've got some winnable games in those remaining 6.
4th easiest schedule remaining in the NFL.
It's just so hard for me to say that when I look at the schedule early on.
But I know.
It's nowhere near.
I know, but that's why I don't love playing win-loss before the season. Because win-loss before the season, you went, oh, hell, they got to play Tampa.
But like right now,
and now you're like, cool, they get to play Tampa.
Honestly, if we look at the schedule, what's a gimme for the 49ers?
That's
right. Oh, I don't think that
there's no gimmies for any gimmies.
Even the Washington game, they just beat Green Bay, and I'm sitting here going, boy.
And Heineke looks better than Carson Wentz.
You get Tampa Bay, and I thought this was going to be a matchup of the 2
This year's NFL is like putting at Augusta. Hello, friends of the Masters. There are no gimmies. Even a little 3-footer. You got to mark it, and you got to sweat over it. There's no gimmies for anyone.
Here's how to answer that question. So, yes, there's no gimmies, ... If the defense in some form returns to what it was,
so this is okay.
If they start to look like they did in the first 5 games of the season, then I think you can start to put a few of these games in a likely win column. But they're too far away to even know who the hell's playing when we get there. But if that defense looks like it did the first 5 weeks, New Orleans is not coming to Levi's and getting a win. Washington is not coming to Levi's and getting if the defense is playing.
I mean, I watched one of the best Niner defenses of all time, have a couple of injuries late in the year and lose to an Atlanta Falcon team that was tanking. You know what I mean? And it almost cost them playoff position in 2019.
I know. Look at last night.
Let's look at
that stuff coming.
Let's look at this team right now. Like, if Dre Greenlaw's out, who knows if Alshair's coming out? Like, they have
Flanagan Foles.
They've got problems. If they don't get Eric Armstead back, they can't stop the run. I look at their secondary. Mosley's not coming back. The Ward injury is very concerning to me because if you're down to Ombre and Diamanor, we're in for some trouble. So, like, I know you want the defense to come
Jason
back.
Verrett had a
I'm just asking where are the reinforcements coming?
But then those games are a month to 2 months away that we're talking about. So, again, you have no idea who's healthy, but there's certainly the opportunity for those guys to get back.
I would feel a lot better.
I'm more concerned about Debo than I am. And the youth check one will be offset by having George
CMC?
Kittle's going to flex a lot. In when you want to go 21 personnel, you're going to put Kittle back there as the faux fullback. TDP cannot. It'll be interesting.
One step at fullback against Atlanta.
He got a whole series this week.
What Shanahan does without Juszczyk will be interesting because he loves him some Juszczyk. He loves that 21 personnel.
I just don't feel good if they fall at 3-5 this year.
No,
I just don't feel good about it.
Nobody should feel good at 3-5.
I don't feel good about this team at all.
But it's a better 3-5 than last year's 3-5. I think based on the schedule and the NFC, the state of the NFC.
Seattle's getting better.
They make the playoffs at 7-10 or 8-9.
Oh gosh.
And this guy's head's going to explode.
Well,
they can host a game at 8-9.
Look at it right now.
Charging me $250 for that.
Does 9-8 win the NFC West and host a playoff game?
I have no idea. I didn't know Seattle was going to be this good.
It feels likely, to be honest with you.
Well, that's why I went to that New Orleans. When New Orleans was still coming off that Super Bowl, they had to go up to Seattle. Everyone remembers the game, the Rumble run by Marshawn Lynch. They were a 7-9 team, right? And remember, they hosted that game, Seattle did. I think it was 2009, 2010. What year was that?
2009, I think.
With Pete Carroll's first year with the team. Anyway, they won 7-9. They hosted, and it's just like, I don't know. Look, you're right. You're not wrong.
Schedule.
Making the playoffs is an accomplishment, but it almost feels like.
Well, here's the deal with Seattle, though. They may be without DK Metcalf for some time. They play the New York Giants this week at home.
The Giants? Look at their last 4 games of the year.
They're at Arizona. They play Tampa in London or wherever. I think Germany. I think they're playing in Germany, right? Yeah. Somewhere out there in Europe. Their last 4 games.
49ers,
Niners,
Chiefs,
Kansas City,
Jets, Rams. Tough.
Jets.
Tough.
And the fact that the Giants and the Seahawks is the game of the week.
I know.
What the hell is going on in this NFL? Where are
we?
In
God's green earth.
But I mean, the Niners, I don't know, man.
I started Daniel Jones in fantasy this week.
Man,
I got 20.
Move. Not a bad move.
He ran for 100 yards.
I started Matt Ryan and Tannehill in 2 separate leagues, and they got me 6 points.
You're starting Danny Dimes, and it's the right thing to do.
That was your last chance.
That was the last chance.
to start Matt Ryan
too. So
yeah.
I mean, the Niners got more than a fighting chance. You've got an injured Ram O-line against a Niner team that, imagine that, Niners have more new injuries. Who could have seen that coming?
Okay, so let me ask it to you guys this way, because it's a pretty Pavlovian deal when it comes to the NFL, which is after a loss, the pessimism rolls for 7 days, and after a win, oh my gosh, we're going to win the Super Bowl. Like, that's how it feels. So we're after not just a loss, but we're after 2 losses. But with all that stuff that we just said, your optimism, just say playoffs. Give me a percentage. Where's your optimism?
I'm still 50-50.
And this is something we'll throw out to the callers.
Super Bowl?
Just no.
Or just to get to
the 49ers make the playoffs. Where does your optimism percentage stand right now? And we'd love to hear that from callers here coming up today.
I think there's a better chance.
Yeah.
There's a better chance Aaron Judge comes to the Giants than there is that the Niners go to the playoffs.
Ooh, that's a fun question.
You like that?
I don't agree, but I like it.
Yeah.
I think both of them stand well.
I think they're both unlikely.
Do you really?
I do.
Are you less than 50-50 on the Niners to make the playoffs?
They're just so banged up.
I would still pick them to win the division.
Okay. Wow. You're more optimistic than I.
The division is more a game out
than everyone.
But they're a game out.
I know,
it's not. I'm not saying anything that's like crazy over here.
I understand that. I'm just looking at their team, and it's like the attrition has already set in. You're not getting Emmanuel back. It doesn't feel like Ward's groin injury is going to be healthy this year. Bosa didn't look like explosive Bosa in the game that I saw. They miss Armstead dramatically. I think Kinlaw's done for the year. I'm really down on the Niners.
I'm down on them.
What's the percentage, Monte? Butcher Boy had it 50-50.
It goes 45.
I'm Dominic Flanagan fouls.
45% chance of winning the division?
No, making the playoffs.
Making the playoffs. 45%.
Just make the offs.
I give them a 60% chance to make the playoffs. 60%.
Yeah, that's about where I am. I would say even 65% because the division, I still don't believe in Seattle. And it's great. Baldy had a great breakdown with you guys talking about 13 personnel, the one running back, the three tight ends.
With Denver, with Seattle.
Yeah, and I think that that matchup against the Niners doesn't favor Seattle, so I think the Niners can beat Seattle, thereby
it's in Seattle,
holding the tiebreak. Well, Seattle's not the same dominant 12th man that it once was.
They get up for the Niners, though.
They sure do, but I think that matchup now favors the Niners, especially where that game is in the schedule. The Niners likely, you can't say they're going to be healthy. They'll be healthy by then.
No, we're sleeping on Arizona with Hopkins back. They got a little juice last week on Thursday night.
It's not. Is it Arizona versus the Niners or Arizona in totality versus the rest of the league? Because I don't like them versus the rest of the league, but against the Niners, I think that they match up really well.
They play Minnesota this week in Minnesota.
I like them better against the Niners than almost any other team.
Do you guys know off the top of your head the actual data right now on what the 49ers' chances are to make the playoffs?
Isn't it diluted because there's the seventh playoff team?
What's your source over there, Mark? What's your source? Are we doing 538, Football Outsiders?
Let's see. I'm on the internet. Let's see, internet. Yeah,
World Wide Web.
This is put out by the New York Times.
Oh, okay. Oh, I know. I love the New York Times.
Yeah, the New York Times.
They probably have them at about 58% to
they
make
bought the Athletic.
Boy,
they
ran that thing in the ground.
They are 49%. 49% right now, which is
they don't
just
have a strong
poetic,
opinion.
isn't it? The 49ers. Yeah. However, one win against the Rams.
It's like the band.
One win against the Rams.
And it goes to 63.
65.
Yeah.
Now, that's based off of history of the NFL?
Who the hell knows what it's
We got to get Colin Coward off my screen, man. He distracts me with just some of the most idiotic
Why? What does it say?
It says,
Stay
columnists
disciplined.
suggest Niners trade Lance and keep Jimmy.
Should they consider
Silver
trading
who
Trey
suggested
Lance?
That? What columnist suggested that?
I don't know.
Columnists suggest
Keeping Jimmy Garoppolo on this
49ers
team?
trade Lance and
he
keep
knows
Jimmy
the algorithm. Just whisper into a microphone,
Yeah.
Jimmy or 49ers or Trey, and you will get
You'll imagine that.
That's the algorithm.
Yeah, get this guy out of here. Get this guy out of here.
No, I don't think.
Back to my comfort zone.
Nobody.
Yeah, there we go.
The
It's
Zozo.
funny. Do you know? I would say, what are we? 4 weeks in a row where we've come in here after 49er games and people have at least said Jimmy was not problem one, and there are a few games where we like the way he played, but I don't think he's done anything to make people. Like, if there's a meter that runs each week.
People are already ingrained.
Right, but if there's a meter that runs each week in terms of your openness or desire or whatever word you want to use to Jimmy being the quarterback beyond this year, it's pretty low.
Oh, my God.
Don't you think?
I think there's a lot of people want him to come back who are Jimmy Garoppolo. There are a lot of Jimmy Garoppolo
Jimmy
fans.
Stands?
Yeah, there
Jimmy
are.
Stands? I haven't met anybody.
I got my buddy Chris literally texting me all show. Jimmy needs to get re-signed, and they win with him. And there's a lot of people that do that comparative shopping.
Well, so here's I guess the unfair thing in this moment is that we're coming off of a video where we compare him to Patrick Mahomes. And he's obviously so clearly not that. But that I have also settled with, that shouldn't be our bar. Like, we all agreed that Kyle Shanahan finally got to the point where he was like, look, I believe at least, remember the Buffalo game where Josh Allen never threw an incompletion, and Kyle was like, we got to go get one of these guys, which you can't just go get one of these guys. But they went and got Trey Lance, who has a skill set, who sort of feels like some of these great quarterbacks, and we're nowhere near knowing what Trey Lance is going to be, but it's not a fair bar to just be like, get Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or else this is wrong.
Yeah, but even if let's compare him to Kirk Cousins. We all agree in this room, most people don't believe in Kirk Cousins. But when you look at his track record and his data, all right, and his win-loss record, since 2020, he's actually the same winning percentage as Jimmy Garoppolo. He has twice as many touchdowns, okay? His touchdown to interception ratio is significantly better. He's thrown for way more yards. Like, his QBR is better. His completion percentage is better.
They run a different system. They're pretty similar guys. Don't you? I think if
What's
Kirk
his
Cousins...
playoff record, though?
He hasn't been in the playoffs.
Well, that's an interesting statement.
Since 2020. Since 2020.
That's an interesting statement,
But in the playoffs, he has the one signature win where he threw from behind and beat New Orleans in New Orleans, one of the most devastating games in Sean Payton's resume.
He also came here 3 years ago and got torched.
Absolutely.
So,
but we could have flip-flopped quarterbacks in that game, and maybe the result was the same.
If Kirk comes instead of Jimmy, don't you think we probably have a somewhat similar story?
Right.
Maybe some more weaponry.
I don't know if Shanahan trusts Kirk Cousins and run a 2-minute drill in Super Bowl 54.
Maybe
that's the difference.
What I was trying to say
he's
was
not
that
coaching scared.
He's not even up to and I don't even like Kirk Cousins. He's not even comparable to Kirk over the last couple of years in just the raw data. We're not even saying be Patrick Mahomes. Be better than Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
I don't think that's big of a
why he
bar.
drafted Trey Lance.
Exactly.
Because he thinks that Trey Lance is better than both.
Exactly.
Because everyone says Shanahan's wanted Kirk Cousins all these years, and well, what he really wants is better than Jimmy, better than Cousins.
Exactly.
Which is why he did what he did, and because Trey got hurt, that's why Kyle gets an opportunity next year to see if he was right or if he's wrong. And if, let's say, the same thing happens next year, Trey plays 5 quarters and he breaks his other ankle. Knock on wood, Trey. I'm hoping for the best for you. Well, at that point, Kyle Shanahan may be out of time just based on bad luck, because can you wait another year to see if Trey Lance is good enough? And if the team struggles again and Trey Lance gets hurt again, we're going to have a different conversation next year.
Think about the coach, right? Frank Wright is probably going to lose his job this season.
Because of the quarterback.
Because of the quarterback. He's had 7 different quarterbacks. When he had Andrew Luck, they were rolling. They were going to the playoffs. Luck retires. They go swing and miss on Carson Wentz. They go swing and miss on Matt Ryan. Now they're playing Sam Ehlinger.
Yeah.
The quarterback spot. He's not going to get that time that Shanahan has. Shanahan has had 6 years to figure this quarterback thing out. Now, granted, he's going to get a year. I get it with Trey Lance.
Yeah,
and,
a little different thing, though.
Different,
in the last 6 years, only 5 coaches have made multiple conference championship game appearances.
Yeah,
It's Reed, it's Belichick, it's LaFleur, it's McVay, and it's Shanahan. So Frank Reich has not made a conference championship game, let alone 2. So that's the one thing
playoffs.
when Kyle Shanahan's playing his hand, and he's playing his Jimmy's not really good, and I coach scared, and 2-minute drill, and this failure. The last card he has is, boom, I'm 1 of 5. I've made 2 of these. I've made 2 of them, guys. And that's a big card to be able to play.
I'm maybe reaching here, but you could say last year's run was due to Debo getting the ball, that running back.
It's still a run, though.
But
a
also
run.
the defense and special teams carrying the team. Like, that defense showed up in Dallas to shut them down.
No, you're right, Bonte, and the whole Debo thing. But at the end of the day, Shanahan's the head coach. So he gets credit for the success, and he gets blamed for the failure. And the fact that he's 1 of 5 to make 2 of those, and I know he hasn't won the big one, but
he won big games leading up to that. See, that's the same thing I say about Harbaugh.
Yeah,
like, people dismiss these big games that you win leading up to the final game of the year. It's like, okay, for example, Dallas game was huge. Yeah. It was a huge game. Yeah. They kicked the crud out of a team that I thought was superior.
Well, we do this. Andy Reid, almost every coach who breaks through and wins a Super Bowl had been labeled the guy who couldn't win the big one for a few years before he got there.
But won a bunch of divisional round games to get to the big games.
One guy wins the last game.
Exactly.
These are good coaches. Andy Reid's a good coach.
College.
He didn't need Patrick Mahomes to be a good coach. He needed Patrick Mahomes maybe to make the Hall of Fame. That's how that works. But he was a good coach already.
Is that the best duo in sports right now? Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes?
In all of sports?
I'm asking out loud.
Best duo? No. Yeah. Best coach-player duo or any duo?
Just any duo.
Jeez.
Because they feel like they're just on the same page.
I would take Steve Kerr, Steph Curry.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
In terms of like... Now, earlier you said PB&J, and you were talking about Mahomes and Kelsey.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great. And don't get me started on your applesauce because it's a non-starter.
Thank you,
Apple juice. Apple juice.
Yeah, you're right. Apple anything
Apple
with PB&J.
Crisscross applesauce.
No orange juice.
I think your Kelsey Mahomes
you like that?
I mean, it's tough to find a better tandem.
So good.
Yeah.
I'll take Aaron Judge, Lamont Wade, that platoon that's coming next year. I'm really looking forward to that. We're not going to have Judge face a righty in the 8th. Why would you do that? You want to win, don't you?
I mean, unbelievable. If Betts goes to second base and they get Aaron Judge,
story.
I swear to God, my head will explode.
Here's the deal: the Dodgers are going to go after him, and the Giants are going to go after him. And I think he's interested in coming west.
We got a guest today from WFAN at 10 o'clock.
Don't lose the battle.
Yeah. I can't remember his name.
That's not a good promo. That's not a no. His name is Keith McPherson.
I thought so.
He is the night host at WFAN.
My fault.
He's got a lot to say.
He's got a lot of followers for being the overnight host.
And New York's relationship with Aaron Judge. His name is Keith McPherson. You get his name inside your mouth.
Not Bobby?
Okay.
Thank you.
You two was asking about him too. It's like, who? McPherson? Who the hell is that?
Not Keith Sweat.
Willard and Dibs, sponsored
we're gonna make
by
him sweat.
BMW Fairfield. Now you got me twisted. Now open in the Fairfield Auto Mall. See, that was a 4, Dibs. Come on, you got me twisted.
My fault.
That was a 5.
Matson's running on 0 calories right now.
They provide a luxurious, all-encompassing experience to address all of your BMW needs. Visit BMWFairfield.com today to book your visit. That's BMWFairfield.com.